So, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to do something slightly different. We're going to be looking at a Czech Nymph pattern. So I put a little request out on my Instagram page asking people what they wanted to see. And one of the common themes that came back was a Czech Nymph pattern. So slightly different to what we've tied up till now previously with jig nymphs. So this is, like I say, something slightly different but still down the nymphing line. So let's get to it. So in the vise, we have a size 12 Czech Nymph hook. We'll be using some lead sheet to create the weight that's needed on the fly and obviously help to create some of the tapering. The shellback that we'll be using is the Veniard's body stretching pink. And the dubbing blends that we'll be using are these here. So I've got myself a Hendrickson pink, and I've also got myself a light brown, more up towards the head of the body. So let's begin with the lead wire. So towards the back of the hook, move our way forward, touching turns till we're just short of the eye. Just pull that away and it'll come. Now for the next wrap, we're going to take it up a wrap or two, and again exactly the same at the head. Okay, now if that's not looking particularly neat at the moment, don't worry, because our thread will help. So thread that I'll be using today is the UTC pink in 70 denier. So just before the eye, we'll catch that in and we'll work our way down the fly. Okay, now just move that out a little bit there, just so. And if we're taking our thread over the lead wraps, it just helps to smooth out some of the bumps that we've created. Now, obviously, if you can, the neater that you can make your lead wraps, then obviously the less time you'll be spent building up with the thread. But it's not too much finisher. You can always get it back. So we'll get rid of that. Now with a Czech Nymph pattern, and most patterns for that matter, whatever you're finishing your fly with will be the first item that you have to tie in. So in this case, the last thing on the fly will be the rib. So therefore, the first thing that we tie in is the rib. So tie in our wire, which is a red wire. And again, I'll bring it forward, just helps to create that taper. A little bit of bump there. So next we're going to add our shellback. Now again, to make this slightly easier, I will cut myself a little V, which I'll show you now. Just something that looks like that, and it just makes it that bit easier to catch in with our thread. Okay, so we catch that small V in. Now with this particular variety, and most others, it's a fairly wide material. So once you've caught it in and you're happy and it's fairly secure, you can pull that back and it will stretch it, which obviously by stretching it makes it slightly thinner, which I'm happy with. And now we can start to work on our body. So like I say, it's a light pink that I'll be using. And we don't want to build up too much to start with, so like I always say, less is more. Catch that first section in, which we've got, and then you can tighten up that noodle of yours. Okay, we keep wrapping forward. Now like I say, with the lead we've created that tapering of the body. So the dubbing should just help out with that. Now we don't want to add too much, we don't want to make that fly too bulky, because obviously you're going to affect the rate at which the pattern sinks. So happy with that. I'll just add a tiny bit more. As you can see now, that's helped with that tapering. Now when we get to the kind of 3/4 away along from the start point of the pattern, we're going to add in our second dubbing colour, which for me, like I say, is a light brown. Now there's a million colour combinations you could tie this pattern in. Olive and black's a good example. Whichever you choose, the head of the fly should be darker than the body. So there we are. So again, fairly happy with that. So we can just push a few of those fibres back. And again, at this point, just before we tie in our shell back, I'll just take my Velcro, just to tease a few of those fibres and just smooth it out a little bit. So what's left to do now is take our shell back. And again, like I say, with it being stretchy, the more tension you put through it, the more it will stretch. And obviously, the thinner it becomes. So you need to pull it until you're happy with the thickness of it over the back, which I'm fairly happy with there. So we'll take 1, 2, 3 fairly loose turns just to pull it through. Okay, and then once we're happy, which I'm happy with that, we can pull that down, and that will hold it in place. And again, we'll just take a couple of turns in front, pull and trim. Now at this stage, I would always advise to just put either a half hitch or just a 2-turn whip finish in there. Okay, and that will just prevent that shellback from coming undone. If that happens, you've got to start all over again, and it's not much fun. So again, just strokes for those fibres down, and we're going to look to rib the body now. So with our ribbing, we're going to start obviously at the rear, and as we progress up the fly, our turns progressively become wider as we're moving up the pattern. Okay, till we get to the head, which is where we're at there, and then we can catch that in. A couple in front, a couple behind, and then we can look to break that wire away. So make sure that our eye's nice and clear, which it is. Brilliant. Snap the thread. Quickly catch my thread back on. Build up that head. Trim this waist away. And trim that section away. And like I say, we'll shoot those fibres back, and we'll just help to create that head, that hot point, which we've got there. So 5-turn whip, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And there we have it. Okay, now there we have it. The fly is now complete, but we can still make it better yet. So to help with the natural ability, the natural looks of the fly, we'll actually start to pick a few of these fibres out. So I like to get a dubbing needle, and I just like to pull a few of these fibres from within the ribbing, just to help give that fly that natural look. You can keep pulling. Like I say, make sure that you're pulling in between the ribs, the wire ribs of the fly. So we're at, we draw the fibres down. Okay, and like I say, we can always trim a few of these away. So generally speaking, you want them to be just short of the hook point, which that is. The only thing left to finish on there now is to just varnish the head. So add a small amount of varnish just to seal that off. And there you have it, the Czech Nymph. I hope you enjoy. Give it a tie and see how it goes for you. All the best.